So for individuals who are in the early stages, you might want to increase the intensity of this workout by also adding a stability cushion that looks like this. Purchase one on Amazon. What this will do is this will increase the work in your abdominal wall. And so if you're in the early stages, you'll probably be fine to do this. And this is just a way to make sure you're also engaging the internal obliques, the TVA, the deepest layer of your core. But what I will say is when you put this stability disc on a chair, make sure your feet aren't dangling in the air. So for me, in this chair, I would need to put 2 yoga blocks under my feet. And I would have to do that for all exercises so that my feet are not hovering and I have that stability. Remember, your thighs, when you're seated, shouldn't be above the bony protrusions of your hips. They should be slightly below. And you want your ankles tracking under your knees and your feet solidly planted, perfectly parallel. Add this disc for any of the levels if you see fit. We're going to begin a lower body series. If you have flat back or sway back posture, please put a light loop band around your ankles, like so. If you do not, if you have KLP or Lordosis posture, you're not going to put a band on for this because we don't want to over-recruit those hip flexors. Everybody bring your hands behind your head and lean your head back into those hands. We're going to be doing seated knee flexion to recruit the quadriceps. We'll also recruit the hip flexors if you have the loop band around your feet. Now, I want Lordosis, sway back, and KLP to point your toes as you lift the leg up, plantar flex. So lifting the leg up on your inhale for 3, 2, 1. Exhale, lower the leg down. 3, 2. Very slow, pointing the foot. If you have flat back posture, please dorsiflex your foot. Looks like this. Inhale, lift. 2, 3. We're going to combat that plantar flexion in the ankles that's causing the forward lean by doing that. So think about the front ribs here as you're seated in this upright posture and not spraying them forward. We really want to find the low abs. And the leg is not lifting as high as you think, especially if you're plantar flexing. It should just be coming up very small amount. You'll feel the quadricep recruit, and then it can lower down. Keep the tempo slow. Stay on one leg, and then we'll switch to the other. 4 more on the leg you're on. 4. So you're pointing if you have sway back, Lordosis, or KLP. You're dorsiflexing if you have flat back. 1 more on this side. And go ahead and switch sides. Sitting up tall, breathing, noticing where you're working harder than you should be. Is there an area that's really grabbing, that's straining? See if you can soften into that area and put the focus on the feet, the core, the shoulders staying down the back, your focal point with your eyes. 4 more on this side. 4 and 3. Doing great. Sitting up tall. 2 and last one and 1. We'll switch back to the first side and add a twist, twisting towards the leg we're lifting, engaging our transverse abdominis now and coming back to center. Inhale to lift and exhale to lower. Keep the thighs brushing by one another so you're really recruiting the inner thighs as well. Sitting up nice and tall. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. Widen the gap between the chin and the chest. Inhale. And exhale. 4 more. 4. And 3. Check out what's happening with your feet. Point them if you can. Dorsiflex if you have flat back posture. Last 2. Sitting up nice and tall. 2. And 1 more. And 1. And beginning on the second side. Sitting up tall. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. And notice if when you lift the leg, if your other hip is hiking. We want to keep those hips nice and even, grounded, sitting on the top of the sits bones. Pull up through your lower pelvic floor. Where's your focus with your eyes? Follow the wall in front of you and let your head Stay up on the spine. You're doing great. 6 more on this side. And 6. Hear your breath. 5. You're doing great. 4 more. 4. 3. 2. And last one. 1. From here, we're going to take an assisted quadricep stretch using our chair. We'll bring the foot onto the chair, holding onto a wall, bar, or counter. So the metatarsals go onto the chair, and you want to be by a wall, bar, or counter for safety purposes. And then you're just going to have the legs pretty close to one another. Point the metatarsals here and drive the pelvis forward towards the wall, bar, or counter you're close to intensify the stretch in the quadricep. Breathing here. We want to release those quads after all that work. You can always prop a pillow or bolster under the foot if your quads are open and you need more of a stretch to raise the height of the foot. And if it's easy enough for you to grab the foot, you can with a band or your hand, but this is going to feel nice. And then you don't have to use your hands. You have the support of the chair. Keep lifting up through your core. Watch out for dropping the head here. Plug the shoulders down the back. Hear your breath. Just 20 more seconds of breathing and deepening into this quadricep stretch. We just worked those quadriceps quite a lot, so we need to release them so we're not feeling sore the next day. Another couple of breaths here, and then make your way to the second side. Option, if you're holding your foot, to dorsiflex it if you have a band around the foot or you're actually holding. If you have flat back posture, dorsiflexing would be great. Plantar flex for everybody else. It's going to help us find that inner chain, the adductors, and lift up through our pelvic floor a little bit more. Think about your big toe. How much can you point the big toe as well? I see a lot of people pointing their baby metatarsals and the big toes kind of going wayward, and that affects the chain up the inner thigh area. It affects its engagement. So we really want to feel the feet working efficiently so that the legs can follow suit. 10 more seconds here. Hear your breath. After you finish that, we're going to bring that loop band around our ankles, holding on to our chair or a wall, bar, or counter as a bar. So you can either face it and put both hands on it, or you can put one hand on it like you're standing by a bar. You're going to bring your dominant foot's arch of the foot into the band, and we'll be doing a hamstring curl. So what I'd like you to do is try to keep the legs close to one another, and if you have sway back, KLP, or LP, you'll point your toes as you kick the heel towards your butt. If you have flat back, you're going to move the leg into knee flexion, dorsiflexing the foot in front of you. So there's 2 variations here. We're either doing a hamstring curl and we're pointing the toes and you're taking that leg back into your hamstring curl and holding. Let's do this if you have KLP or Lordosis. If you have flat back or sway back, bring the leg in front of you into knee flexion. In knee flexion, you'll dorsiflex the foot for flat back, plantar flex it if you have sway back. So I'm going to show you these variations visually so you know which option. So KLP, LP looks like this. Sway back looks like this. And flat back looks like this. Do the variation that's best for your posture here, making sure that you're not hiking your hips. You're isometrically holding as long as you can on the breath with good form, and then you're lowering down for a little release. Keep that going. Just 15 more seconds here. Notice if you're gripping in your neck, facial muscles, or shoulders. See if you can soften those areas. And let's go ahead and take it to the non-dominant side. We'll spend a little more time on this side because it's going to need it. I like to keep my inner thighs together as I do the hamstring curl and point the toes so that I really feel my adductors working and I can balance my feet and ankles out for better control. So use your center. Notice if one hip is twisting in one direction. Square the pelvis. Sometimes it helps to put the hands on the hips and feel those bony protrusions of the hips and guide them forward so they're shining forward like headlights, nice and square. You're doing great. Another 40 seconds here. Lower the leg as needed and then lift right back up into the position. Either that hamstring curl or knee flexion. Pointing the toes, unless you have flat back posture, in that case you're dorsiflexing the foot. Watch the chin, keep it up on the spine, the head lifted, shoulders down, collarbone wide. Make sure you're not holding your breath. Hear your inhales and exhales. You can inhale through your nose or mouth. Try to exhale out the mouth. I like to do a Darth Vader sound, really forcing that air out, allowing myself to expand through my rib cage on my inhale and exhaling the air out. Last breath here, inhale and exhale. Good job.